All right, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Rashida Oliver. You are here for a first appearance if you've not been seen by the court before today's calendar. And if that is the case, that means that you've received either a misdemeanor charge or a local ordinance within this court's jurisdiction. That also means that you're facing on the misdemeanors up to 12 months in jail, 12 months probation, or a combination of those. And for the local ordinances, up to 6 months in jail, 6 months probation, or a combination thereof. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court will appoint someone to represent you. That representation is based on whether or not your household income falls below the federal poverty guidelines. If it does fall below the federal poverty guidelines, I'll appoint someone to represent you. If not, you'll have to hire your own attorney or represent yourself. Please be aware that anything you say can be used against you, and you do have the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. At the first appearance, it's my position to let you know what you've been charged with. And upon doing so, determine whether or not you want an attorney, yes or no, and let you know whether or not your case is going to be bound over to the state court of Fulton County, or whether you'll have a hearing in this court, depending on how you answer the questions posed. When I call your name, please come in front of the window so that I could hear you. And we will start with Marcus Griggs. And Mr. Griggs appears to have a failure to appear in possession of marijuana less than an ounce, stemming from a November 18, 2019 incident, as well as a new charge under June 28, 2023, in or about a location for disorderly conduct. There's an allegation that the subject possessed and smoked marijuana in the jail lobby.
And that is correct, Your Honor, and I represent Mr. Griggs.
All right. Any announcements on Mr. Griggs?
Yes, Your Honor, he did wish to enter a plea today. I was able to speak with him at the jail last week on Friday. He did indicate at that time that he wished to enter guilty pleas on all charges, Your Honor. He's been in, I believe, 5 days now, well, since the 28th.
All right, thank you. And I'll review his history in line with that. But he does need to understand that even if he's been in jail for 5 days, that doesn't mean that he may not get more jail time.
He understands that, Your Honor. I explained that to him.
All right, thank you. Mr. Griggs, if you enter a plea on today, you're giving up the right to a trial before this court, the right to hear and cross-examine witnesses called to testify against you, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself, as well as the right to have the city prove its case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You also have the right to subpoena witnesses and evidence for court, and by entering a plea of guilty or nolo contendere, you in fact waive those rights. You also give up the right to an appeal to the Superior Court of Fulton County. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? You swear or affirm the information you give is the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
You can lower your hand. Did you hear and understand the legal rights I went over?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions regarding those rights?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone forced you to waive them?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the representation that you've received from Mr. Dabney on today?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you entering a plea of guilty, not
Yes.
guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one, sir?
Guilty.
All right, has anyone forced you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. While I'm reviewing the history, Mr. Dabney, any argument?
Just very briefly, Your Honor. He is here to admit to the allegations. He is here to answer and to the charges, Your Honor, and accepts full responsibility for those charges. We would just like the court just to take consideration in the amount of time that he's been in, and to give him credit for that on any charges that he's eligible to get time served on. And he has no issue with a fine or probation, Your Honor.
All right, my concern, counsel, is that he has 50 cycles. And I need to know why he chose to smoke marijuana in the jail lobby.
Mr. Griggs, answered just that question only, okay? You can go. Yes.
Ma'am, I thought I put it out, ma'am, and it was still smoking when I came in. So that's the only thing. I had my jacket pocket, I had cuffed it, and I thought I put it out, ma'am, but I wouldn't try to smoke it out. I apologize for having it. I came to talk to about some property that I had left before I went out of town. And then they seemed to smoke and they blew a big deal. They rushed me and went to talking like I was disrespecting the jail, you know. That's all.
Counsel, where does your client live?
Mr. Graves, where are you currently staying?
2949 Akron Street, East Point.
East Point, Your Honor.
Employed or unemployed?
Atlanta Peace Movers in
He's-
Doraville. Oh, excuse me, I was supposed to talk.
No.
I mean, you can no, the judge just wanted to know whether or not you were employed or not, Mr. Graves.
Yes.
and you're employed.
Yes, ma'am. I work at Atlanta Peace Movers in Doraville.
Right, Attorney Dabney, will your client be signing a plea form or will you be signing on his behalf?
Mr. Graves, do you give me permission to sign the plea form on your behalf, or did you want to sign it?
You can do it, sir.
Okay, I accept that responsibility, Your Honor.
The sentence is gonna be 6 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served that he's been here. He'll be on mandatory minimum probation for the remaining period of time of that 6 months with random drug and alcohol screens. He'll be required to do 60 hours of community service and a $500 fine. That includes the state surcharges. Understood, Mr. Golston.
Yes, ma'am. If you could tell me his name again, please.
Marcus Griggs,
Griggs.
and that is on the in or about location with the drugs. Now, Mr. Dabney, he also has a possession of marijuana less than an ounce and a failure to appear.
Yes, Your Honor. He is wishing to enter guilty pleas on those as well, Your Honor.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long has he been in custody?
He's been in since June 28th, Your Honor.
And FTA will be time served.
Thank you.
The possession of marijuana less than an ounce will carry a fine of $705. He will still have the random drug and alcohol screens. This will run consecutive to the other charge. That probation period will be for 12 months, 6 of which will be a mandatory minimum, so he'll have a total of 12 months mandatory probation. He'll be required to do a random drug and alcohol evaluation and treatment if necessary. On the state charge. Understood.
Understood, Your Honor.
Do you understand, Mr. Griggs?
Can you just run it back one more time, everything?
Certainly. On the older charge, you have 12 months probation, mandatory minimum of 6 months on that probation, which will run consecutive with the new charge. You'll be required to take a drug and alcohol evaluation and get treatment if they deem it necessary. You'll be subject to random drug and alcohol screens during that time and must not have any positive screens. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The failure to appear will be time served, so there's no additional jail time on that. On the newer charge, you do have 6 months to serve 10 days. You'll get credit for the amount of days that you have been in custody. After the 10 days has gone, you'll be on probation for the remaining, and that will run consecutive. So that the total amount of time you have is 12 months, less the 5 days or the 10 days that you serve on probation. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. So what, I have 5 more days?
If that's what the jail says, once she reports it over, they'll calculate it based on when you came in.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, did you originally say he had 60 hours of community service?
Thank you, I did. 60 hours of community service, Mr. Griggs, on the newer charge.
Mhm. And then the $500
And the
fine.
$500 fine.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if I can pay the $500 fine, will I be off probation?
No, sir, that's what mandatory minimum means. Because you have 50 cases out there, 50 cycles. And most of them have happened in East Point. And I don't know whether that behavior has been arrested before, but I need to make sure that we at least see if we can get you some treatment and hold you on the line for a little bit longer to make sure you stay out of trouble. Seems like you tried and then all of a sudden you just went left. All right, so we got to get back on track.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm. Madam Clerk, you indicated there were 5, and so could you go ahead and give me the name of the next gentleman, please?
The next one is Lockhart.
Yes, ma'am.
Kempton Lockhart, come forward, please. Mr. Lockhart, you have a shoplifting charge under 16-814B from November 2nd of 2020 and a failure to appear. I need to know whether you wish to be represented by an attorney or represent yourself. I do see an application, sir. Are you employed?
No, ma'am.
Do you receive any type of disability or assistance?
Not yet.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dabney. This will be your client.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you tell me the name one more time? I have to get
Yes, Kempton, Kemption, Kemption, Lockhart. And there appears to be, I haven't gone through them at this time, but 73 cycles. So it's a possibility, depending on where he stands, that this might be a felony. So why don't we go ahead and check that now?
Sure.
At cycle 18, there is a conviction. Cycle 21, there is a conviction.
And I do see one, I'm a little out of order, but cycle 26 as well, Your Honor, there's a conviction.
Correct. And then there is also a conviction. It looks like that's a time expired. Time expired, time expired. Time expired. There's a conviction at cycle 41. So these are felony charges.
Understood.
So just be aware of that.
And Mr. Lockhart, I'll explain to that what that means. Basically, East Point is only allowed to handle misdemeanor offenses of theft by shoplifting. Given your history, this if convicted would be a felony. So this court would not have jurisdiction over that, but I'll talk to you about the failure to appear to see how we want to resolve that, okay? Later
All
today.
right, and it appears that it wasn't his first failure to appear. There appears to be, there may have been two, so just keep that in mind, but definitely looks like it's felonious at this point.
Understood, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see him on Wednesday. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, if you have, go ahead with your next one, please.
Shannon, Michael,
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Michael Shannon,
Mr. Shannon, you were charged with criminal trespass under 16-721 and disorderly conduct under 11-1008 local ordinance. I need to know whether you wish to be represented by an attorney or represent yourself.
An attorney.
All right, one moment, please. There is a warrant, Mr. Dabney.
I have two charges.
You do have two charges, sir.
I was told
Sir, you have two charges, regardless of what you were told. There are two charges, okay? And I'll go over that with you shortly.
And you said there is a warrant, Your Honor.
Yes, there is a warrant attached. That warrant is from an incident on June 30th of 2023. It was signed on July 1st of 2023. And specifically, person commits criminal trespass at 3040 Lakewood. Incident location, case number. That's on the criminal trespass. On the disorderly conduct, there is also a warrant. And so I'm not quite sure where that one comes from, because it does appear. It does appear that it also says criminal trespass, so I don't see a second charge. It may be that they charged it under one and then decided to charge it under something else. But there's a citation here for disorderly conduct, fraud, and scheme under 13-1005A. But none of this is making sense to me on how it was put in. Disorderly conduct, fraud, and scheme is one charge. I don't see the warrant for that one, but I do see the charge. And then on the criminal trespass, there's a citation for that as well. But that's not the citation, that's the application for court-appointed counsel. Let me go all the way to the bottom, see if I can find the citation. I'm not sure, Madam Clerk, you may need to go back and look at how you input Michael Shannon to make sure it's accurate. I do see a warrant for criminal trespass. I see a ticket for disorderly conduct, fraud, and scheme. So I need you to go back and take a look at his tickets, make sure they're input correctly and that you have everything, because it's not lining up with what I'm looking at. Let me make sure that warrant actually has Shannon on it. Double check. It definitely says Michael Shannon on the criminal trespass. And then let me go to the other one. And double check the citation, make sure the citation says what I believe. And the citation on the other one is definitely Michael Shannon for disorderly conduct, fraud, or scheme. But that's not how it's been input. So we need to go back over that. and come back, but nonetheless, he'll be appointed to you, Mr. Dabney.
Okay, understood.
And
Mr. Sh-
Mr. Shannon, I want to make sure you're aware that you were charged with disorderly conduct fraud or scheme, which is a local ordinance, as well as criminal trespass.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your turn. Mr. Dabney, have anything you'd like to say to this gentleman?
Yes, Mr. Shannon, I will be giving you a phone call later today after court to discuss how to go about resolving your case, okay?
Yes.
All right,
All
thank you. Do you have any other gentlemen, Ms. Benton?
No, Judge, just two other female.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, you can go to the door, press the button, make sure they know to come and get you. And Mr. Dabney, if you'll give Ms. Benton just a few minutes to try to get Mr. Shannon's paperwork in order before you talk. I do, like I said, I do see the citation on one and I see the warrant on the other.
Okay,
Okay,
no worries.
all right, thank you. And then the code section is on the disorderly conduct says while under the influence, that's not what the citation says.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so give her some time to get that cleared up.
Okay.
So that you'll have everything that you need in order to speak with them. All right, thank you. And so on the young ladies, Madam Clerk, we're looking for Angelia Lewis and Iman Porteous.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll hold until then. Ms. Cuthbert, you had a case on the calendar? You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry I came in a few minutes late. Yes, I have Kenneth George. It's a conflict from Mr. Dabney, Attorney Dabney, so and I was told he would come out today. I think he was last on the calendar maybe on Wednesday.
I don't have him he's on the calendar, but he wasn't brought out.
Judge, I just got clarification that they are supposed to come out, so I'm gonna get them sent up.
Who's that, Kenneth George?
Yes, they was reset.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm. All right, we are going back on recording. But you can put the phone down, we can hear you. All right, please answer if you hear your name called. Angelia Lewis.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lewis, my name is Judge Rashida Oliver. This is the City of East Point Municipal Court, and you have 2 failure to appears and 2 shoplifting cases in our jurisdiction. That means that you are facing the possibility of the 12 months in jail, 12 months probation, or combination for each of the shopliftings if they're misdemeanors. There's a possibility, depending on your history, that they may be felonies. If they are felonies, you are facing 1 or more years of incarceration. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court will appoint someone to represent you. Do you wish to be represented by an attorney or represent yourself?
Either one.
I can't make that decision for you.
I represent myself.
All right, so in representing yourself, I'll need to check and see whether this case can be handled here, but you have 2 failure to appears. Do you wish to enter a plea to the failure to appears of guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere?
No contender.
All right, thank you. And I'll take a look now to see what your history is as it pertains to the shoplifting. If it's a felony, it's going to have to be transferred to the Superior Court of Fulton County. Do you understand?
Yes.
On the failure to appears, it's generally 3 days to serve on each one. So you're facing a maximum of 6 days to serve in jail on the failure to appears. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, you have 1 conviction in 2010. You have another conviction under cycle 21. a conviction under cycle 52. So this would be 3 or more. It would be a felony. Your cases would be transferred to the State Court of Fulton County on the shoplifting from February 27th of 2022, as well as the shoplifting from August 27th, 2022. Do you understand?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that the 2 charges that you have, they are actually felonies and not misdemeanors, and you'll have to be transferred to the Superior Court of Fulton County, which means once you serve out the 6 days for which you wish to enter a plea on the failure to appears, then you will have to go to Rice Street Jail to deal with the shoplifting cases. Do you understand?
So you saying I got to go to jail to deal with the shoplifting case?
That is correct, down to Fulton County.
For how many days? 6 days for what?
Well, I have no idea. The 6 days is for the failure to appear. 3 days on each of your failure to appears. You have 2 of them.
I haven't done any of this, but okay, Judge.
All right, so do you want to be represented by an attorney or represent yourself?
You have already done the jail time anyway, what y'all got me in here for.
You're here because you failed to show up in court when you were supposed to. So do you want an attorney or do you want to represent yourself as you've indicated?
I have an attorney. When do I go to court?
All right, the next court date will be on Wednesday.
I would have an attorney.
All right, Mr. Dabney, you'll be representing Miss Lewis. Understand that those failure to appears are subject to be held and handled here. The shoplifting cases, both based on her history, unless I read it incorrectly, and you can reread it yourself, would be felony charges.
Understood, Your Honor. And Ms. Lewis, I'll be giving you a phone call at the jail today to discuss your case with you, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lewis.
And your
Iman
Honor,
Porteous,
recess to Wednesday.
yes.
Thank you.
Iman Porteous. Kanaya Williams,
Am I through, sir?
Brianna Harris. Madam Clerk, you know who they brought up?
It's supposed to be Miss. 2 females, 1 second, Judge. Covington. Tamisha.
Demasha, thank you. Ms. Covington, you were charged with disorderly conduct and a failure to appear under the state code. Do you wish to be represented by an attorney or represent yourself? All right, so your options would be to either, because you're not eligible for an attorney based on your income and you didn't request one. So your options at this time would be to have your case bound over to the State Court of Fulton County on the disorderly conduct, or you can have an opportunity to try to speak with the solicitor's office. The failure to appear would be handled here. Do you understand that? The solicitor is a prosecutor. He represents the interests of the city, not me, not you, not the court, but the city. He's a person that prosecutes the cases. As such, he's the only person at this time that can look at your case and decide whether or not it's the right charge, whether he chooses or wishes to prosecute under those charges, or how he wished to proceed. Failing an agreement between the 2 of you, the case would automatically be bound over to the State Court of Fulton County. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a question, speak up because I'm barely hearing you.
Yes, ma'am. So, when I received the disorderly conduct, it was on a citation. When it was time for me to go to court, I was on like my 4th or my 5th day of quarantine because I had contracted COVID, but I was over the COVID. I received a negative test. I was in my 4th or 5th day.
Are you trying to tell me why you missed court?
Right. Technically, I didn't miss court. I called up here and they told me I had to reschedule within 7 days, and I was trying to explain to them I couldn't be around nobody for 14 days. And they told me, well, if I didn't come to rescheduled within like the 7 days, then, basically they will put a warrant out on it. So I had to speak to the, because they transferred me to the solicitor's office, and they told me that there was nothing the solicitor could do. But it was, I was in a jam, I was in a pickle, because, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I was in a pickle because I wasn't able to be around anyone.
All right, so let me stop you because we've had amnesty and several things since this time. And you never once came back in and either turned yourself in or tried to avail yourself of the amnesty. And if I'm not mistaken, that amnesty ran for about 3 months where you could have come in to deal with the case. And that's 3 months this year. And if I'm not mistaken, there was also an amnesty last year. And this case has been thus pending since 2021.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's been 2 amnesties, and one of which actually ran for longer than 3 months. So I'll entertain that, but understand this, I'll need to know how you wish to plead to this, to the failure to appear.
I will plead guilty because I didn't come to work, but on my behalf, I tried to reschedule. Wait, can you tell me what amnesty? Sorry.
It means that you could have come to court, presented yourself to the clerk's office, and they would have put you back on the calendar.
But they told me I couldn't, ma'am. She
We
told
know
me.
it was on our website, it was on the news, it was on the radio. And if you had called, you probably would have found that out, but you didn't come in and turn yourself in knowing that there was a warrant. So at this point, if you were entering a plea, you would end up with 3 days to serve on the failure to appear. And it looks like you came in on Friday. So if that is the case, you may be time served on your failure to appear. On the disorderly conduct, do you wish to have that case transferred to the State Court of Fulton County, which means you will go to Rice Street Jail? Or do you wish to have an opportunity to speak with the solicitor's office?
I'd like to speak to, I'm sorry, just part of your lady behind me, but yes, ma'am, I would like to speak with this.
All right, so unless you bond out, if you bond out, your court date is August 14th, 2023 at 2 o'clock, and you'll get more information at that time for the solicitor. If you do not bond out, then we'll see you on Wednesday. Since the solicitor's office has already been summoned for another hearing, we'll have an opportunity and perhaps they can speak with you or give you some information at that time. With the failure to appear being addressed on today, once you sign your plea form and that time served on the 3 days, the remaining charge will have a bond. Madam Clerk will reduce that bond to $500.
Ma'am,
The bond is going to be $500.
today,
If you post a bond through a bonding company, it would be 10% or a little bit more for the 500. Or you can post 600 and be out of jail today. Yes. Otherwise, we'll see you on Wednesday.
but when I first came in, the bond was like 2,000, they told me it was too low.
I understand that, but I just reduced it. Do you want me to put it back up to 2,000?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. The paperwork would need to be signed. Can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
You swear to affirm the information you give is the truth under penalty of perjury?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, she's speaking behind me.
I understand. Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You can lower your hand. How are you pleading to the failure to appear?
Guilty.
All right, Madam Clerk, that is going to be time served on the failure to appear. Reset this case to Wednesday. If she bonds out, she'll come back to court on the date of her citation, which is going to be the August date. If she fails to bond out, we'll see her on Wednesday for potential pretrial with the solicitor's office.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
She said my bond was 600.
All right, so if you all were 500, ma'am,
Okay, thank you.
press the button, let the staff know that you're ready to go. So we then would only need to have the case brought up that Kenneth George, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dabney, if you want to go ahead and call your clients, please.
Yes, Your Honor, I can.
All right, if there's anything different or strange, you feel free to let me know that, but otherwise we'll be on Wednesday with those.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. I'm going to pause recording until we have Mr. Kenneth George. All right, Ms. Cuthbert, I'm gonna go ahead and read. It appears that Mr. Kenneth George is now present. And he's been charged with a local ordinance of disorderly conduct and a failure to appear, original stemming from November 7th of 2021. You
That's-
have an announcement on this case?
Yes, Your Honor, I've spoken with Mr. George, and he has indicated to me that he would like to plead guilty actually to both charges, the failure to appear and the disorderly conduct.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Cuthbert, if you just give me a moment. Madam Clerk, if you can look up ticket number M00249129, it appears your client may have a second disorderly conduct and a second failure to appear, stemming from November 2nd, 2022, with a court date of December 12th, 2022. So I just need to know if that case has been rescheduled for something else or if it's truly in FTA status. Let us find that out, and then I'll be able to let you know whether I'm prepared to accept the plea on today.
Okay, Your Honor, thank you. I
Thank
was
you.
unaware of those.
No worries, I just happened to see it.
Judge, you can repeat that ticket number again?
You just need to pull up his name, because once I go out of it, I can't pull it back up. I'll try to find it. But pull up his name, Kenneth George, please.
Okay.
One of them was M00249129.
That's correct. It was M00249129. Thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
So the disorderly conduct, that's
I'm sorry, you were saying something, Ms. Benton?
for the disorderly conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you were trying to see if it was a warrant. What did you say again, Judge?
It's listed as a failure to appear. Was it a reset or is it actually a true failure to appear? It's from November 2nd of 2022. With a missed court date allegedly on December 12th of 2022. Just need to know if this is a case we need to handle.
I'd like to plead guilty.
One moment, sir. I need to make sure it's properly on my calendar first.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You understand what I'm asking, Madam Clerk?
No, I just see the court date of December 12th.
Right. Did he miss the court date?
We have a return letter in here. He might have, hold on.
All right, can you confirm? And if that's the case, Ms. Cuthbert will need to have that case added to this one so you can have an opportunity to speak with him.
Yes, Your
And it
Honor.
will be handled on Wednesday.
I can plead guilty to it.
I understand you want to plead guilty, sir, but it's not yet properly on my calendar for your attorney to review it and give you advice on it. I recognize he wants to plead guilty, but I don't have it in front of me.
I
It's not on
understand.
his calendar, so if you'll go ahead and speak with him about that.
Judge, to confirm, he did miss it. It wasn't.
Okay. All right, so that would need to be submitted to me, so he'll have an actual citation. He needs to be served with that failure to appear Ms. Cuthbert. So once he's served with the failure to appear, then it can be put on the calendar for Wednesday and we can handle them both at the same time.
Okay.
All right, so Ms.
Could I ask Mr.
Send me
George-
that failure to appear warrant, please?
Could I ask Mr. George a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. George, you don't have your treatment on Thursday, do you?
Not sure, I've been going sometime Thursday.
I can't hear understand what he's saying.
He's been going on Thursdays.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's why he's missing court. It's because of this particular, what's going on with his health.
All right, well, we
He has
can,
cancer treatment, so.
so make sure you have all that documentation, because as it stands now, this is the second missed court date, and if it's just a matter of the day that he's going for treatment, that seems odd, because I don't have court on Wednesdays. I mean, on Thursdays, unless it's a trial.
Right,
So I can have them check, and it wouldn't be a trial if the court date was issued on November 2nd of 2022. December 12th would not have been a trial date, that would have been an arraignment. And it would have been a Monday.
right. Yeah, I know. I was talking about for the first one, so I was just asking him to check for this second
For
one.
the
to see if
second
that
one?
was about-
Okay,
Yeah,
understood. All right, so if you all will send that over, Miss Benton, and then we'll see it on Wednesday, and any documentation to support his failure to appear, we can deal with it at that time.
right.
And certainly he can bond out on the original charges. The failure
Could I just make sure about that? Because I was told he had a $1,500 bond.
right, well, at this point, it would be 500 on the disorderly conduct,
Mm-hmm.
500 on the failure to appear, because he's not entered a plea as of yet. And then on the new ones, it would be 500 on each of those.
Okay,
So have a total bond of 2,000 once those new tickets go in. All right, thank you, Mr. George. I understand the circumstances, but until I get both of those on the same docket and the FTA is taken care of, I'm not going to deal with it on today. So-
Mr. George, I will give you a call back once I get get those paperwork for the 2 new charges, and that way we can talk about it, sir. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. If you'll go to the door and let them know that you're ready to go back so that your attorney can give you a call when she gets the paperwork.
Y'all, ain't no chance I can have long, I'm very sick.
I'll consider it, but I want some information from the attorney first.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Ms. Benton, do we have anything else?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and stop recording. And stop live.